I've had what I think is the best idea ever for a Send-related TV show. Do you remember Wife Swap? I think we should make Tice Swap, and that's where Richard Tice comes to my house and has to care for my differently abled, non-verbal 9-year-old twins for a couple of weeks while I go and do a half-assed job as an MP. So that probably sounds a bit daunting for Richard. So I'll give you a quick rundown of all the things that you need to do. So in the morning, when you've had no sleep, you have to wake up at a really obscene hour and do lunches and all the things that you need to do before they're around, because once they're out of bed, they do need constant supervision to make sure that they stay alive. It's very, very important. And when you want them to get up, you have to actually go and physically get them out of bed because they're zipped into safety beds to keep them, alive. And then you'll have to physically undress and dress them because they can't do that, and make sure you change their nappies too, and then get them on the minibus to school. And then the second that they're off to school, start work, and then work constantly through to when they're back from school, because there are no breakfast clubs or holiday clubs or after school clubs or childminders or any childcare that you can access at all, in fact. So try and find a job that's fine with you not being able to work that much, and that also pays you enough to keep a roof over their heads, and frivolous things like food and stuff like that. When they get home from school, do make sure that you're watching them constantly. If they get upset, they can't actually talk, so they can't tell you what's wrong, so you can have fun trying to work out what it is that they're upset about. They can type into an AAC, but mostly it's things like "I would like a drink" or "more biscuits please," not "I'm in pain," or anything that would give you a clue as to why they're so distressed. Try and cook them something for dinner that they'll eat. There's not very much. They will eat anything they find on the floor or soil or sand, but they won't eat any actual, food. So try and give them a balanced diet and make sure that they're healthy, and make sure that one of them specifically definitely eats his dinner, because he has a metabolic disorder where if he doesn't eat dinner or any meal, his blood sugar crashes dangerously low, and then you'll have to take him into the hospital, which is really quite difficult when you have disabled twins. You can't go out of the house without two adults, like not even into your garden. So if there's only you, Richard, you're going to have a bit of a tough time. You are going to be stuck indoors all the time. And then, at night time when you want to put them to bed, try and devise a way that stops them taking off their clothes and getting to their nappies, because that leads to smearing. Their safety beds are made of mesh, so that is not fun to clean up in the middle of the night. Also, the sheets for those beds are £100 each, so you only have a couple, so be very careful with nappy leaks and smearing and things like that. And then, settle down for another night of almost no sleep. At the weekends, you can try and find somewhere safe and accessible to take them to, where people won't tut and stare at you just for them existing. There is almost nowhere, so have fun with that. Make sure you pack food that they'll eat, because they won't actually eat anything that you buy out of the house. You obviously won't ever go out for dinner or to the theatre or anywhere or on holiday or do anything really, because you can't get babysitters or any kind of childcare really. The last time you had a babysitter, one of them did smear poo. I feel bad even asking her anymore, frankly. That's weekends. One of them won't go into public toilets because of hand dryers. He won't wear ear defenders though, so you don't have to be embarrassed about those, but he will clamp his hands over his ears 95% of the time. So anything involving using his hands, probably out. And then, in between all that, you can do their EHCP paperwork, child in need paperwork, any few holiday activities that they can actually access run by charities. Make sure you're filling in the forms like for the next year to book those in, and you'll get maybe one a week, and that will be your respite if you can find personal assistants that you trust to take them out of the house, even though they will constantly do things that threaten their life. So you can have fun with all of that. If you're very lucky, they'll be sick while you're here, and you'll also be sick, because that is really, really great fun when you're trying to look after them when all of you had the flu or norovirus or something like that. One of them can't walk far because he can't put his feet flat on the floor, so that will further limit anything that you can do. Make sure there's disabled parking and that it doesn't involve too much walking, because you will have to then just leave really soon anyway. To be honest, you'll probably have to leave anyway. You go quite soon anyway, but you can still try. And then try and have your life together and function as an employee and a mother and a wife, and just not drown in the constant grief of all the things that your children are missing out on while people insult them, people like yourself. Just try and stay afloat, really, without having a nervous breakdown, because if you get sick, you're screwed, because there really is no one and nothing to help you in that scenario. So while you're doing that, I'll go and do a half-ass job as an MP. I'll go to 42% of the votes in Parliament, and I'll split my time between my Skegness constituency and Dubai. But really, I'll spend most of my time just picking which vulnerable group I'm going to say disgusting things about next, just to make their already difficult lives even harder, because that's an MP's job, isn't it? If Tice Swap doesn't sound very appealing, maybe we could bring faking it back and get 3 or 4 MPs who actually do a good job to teach Richard Tice about what he's actually meant to be doing for his 95 grand a year plus expenses. I think that sounds like a brilliant plan. What do you reckon?